This is Chuck Rowe from Midwest Studies Group. Thanks again for joining us for yet another edition of our video series. This week's topic, growing your grassroots nonprofit. Joining us this week is Youth Art Team located in Iowa. Heather Skeens, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me, Chuck.
So if you could tell us a little bit about the history of Youth Art Team and how it even started.
Sure. Youth Art Team actually started as a fiscally sponsored organization. We weren't a nonprofit like we are now. It was all the way back in 2010. Our executive director, Heidi Footman, was working with some area youth and had volunteered to lead a project to connect youth in the neighborhood through the arts and to hopefully build long-term relationships among those young people and the volunteers who were helping them through a fine arts project. And I think that just kind of stuck. You know, she was really inspired by the kids and really enjoyed working with them. And so she stuck with it and took on additional projects as a volunteer. And then Youth Art Team started to kind of form as an organization. And about 2 years after that, it became a fiscally sponsored organization. And then Heidi worked for many years to become a 501c3, which just happened in 2019. So.
Well, it's amazing because when the organization first started, and usually it's because there's someone that's a volunteer on the grassroots level that's doing things.
Absolutely.
It was one mural that was put up, right? And then all of a sudden, it's more than just this one mural. Now it's murals all over the place. Art projects at schools. Now you have your own building that you're doing things in. So I guess the question would be, when you first started out, obviously you had a budget of $0, and then you grew it from there. What does your budget look like now?
You know, it's grown hugely, and I think that's because of a few different things. I think the work that the organization is doing, that Youth Art Team is doing, is needed and important to this community. Secondly, a lot of what we do is highly visible. So, you know, we're very lucky that a lot of the projects that Youth Art Team puts out are murals or fine arts projects that involve a lot of community members and the school kids. And so there's a lot of visibility for our organization and what we're doing. And we've been a really small staff. So it was Heidi for a long time working unpaid as when the organization was fiscally sponsored. Excuse me. And then hired some part-time help. And then in just 6 months ago was able to bring me on board part-time. And now next week on Monday, we're actually bringing on board our next full-time staff person. So we'll have 2 full-time staff people and then myself part-time, which is huge, you know, for us to be able to achieve what we are setting out to do as we grow forward into the future with Youth Art Team, and then also really to be sustainable for the future.
Well, when they first approached you about joining on as a team member, and now that you're adding someone else, the decision-making like behind that, what were the conversations like that it was decided, you know what, we need some more people in order to help grow our organization?
Right. Well, at the time I was brought on, it was Heidi and one part-time coordinator who was just helping with communication. And so Heidi does all of the outreach and all of the programming and all of the creative side of what Youth Art Team is, you know, working with community members to develop the programs that are kind of the keystone programs for this organization. And she really she can only do so much as one person, right? And as a new nonprofit, a relatively young nonprofit, we really need to devote some time and experience to fundraising and development work. And so Heidi approached me with that opportunity to become development and operations director. And from my perspective, I've always worked for large organizations. I worked in a municipal system. I worked for a university system. I've always been in nonprofit and arts related work, but I've never worked for a small kind of grassroots organization. I was really excited about joining the team because it's, you know, you're starting from the bottom up and being able to develop things and really see the growth, and that really intrigued me.
So how have you seen then the board change, and then also even how you fundraise? How does that change from maybe day one when Heidi was doing everything by herself to what it looks like now?
Yeah, well, I think the main, I think Heidi would answer that the main change between being fiscally sponsored and becoming a 501c3 was that the organization qualified for a lot of funding that wasn't available because we didn't have 501c3 status. So funding from our state arts organization, Iowa Arts Council, and some local funders and foundations just the youth art team at the time didn't fit their parameters. So becoming a 501c3 in late 2019 opened up all of those funding opportunities, which really led to being able to increase our staff, which then will help us grow our programming and our impact here in the community.
And for you in your position, I'm sure things have changed from when they first started, when, people were giving $50 here, $50 there, to now you're getting these larger gifts. How has that impacted the organization, and how does your role play into that?
Yeah, hugely. So what's great about Youth Art Team is part of our mission is about building lifelong relationships between artists and our volunteers and our supporters and our staff. So I think that helps motivate some donations, because we have people who are part of our donor team who have been with us since 2010 or 2012. So they're seeing that long-term impact. They're seeing how our mission is playing out with some of the youth that have been involved with Youth Art Team since they were in kindergarten, who are now off in college. So that's been fantastic. And we have a great donor base of people who fit that kind of description. Another important aspect of the individual donations is that we started doing monthly donations. So we have sustaining donors now, which has also made an incredible impact on us being able to plan for the future, because we can see, there's a set amount of, of funding that's going to come in each month. And for a very small nonprofit organization that relies completely on raised funding, that's been essential to being able to plan for the future.
And in the for-profit world, a lot of times they call that like monthly recurring revenue, right? And so you're just using a model that a lot of nonprofits are starting to slowly get into. They get scared of at first because they're nervous what donors might say to that. But what's your messaging to donors that gets them excited to want to do something like a recurring revenue model?
Yeah, really is just that it really helps us plan. So if they want to make a gift, they can divide it between 12 months and still give the same amount over the course of the year if they want to. But it just helps us kind of know what we can expect each month. It helps for our planning. We have found that usually monthly donors will come in a little bit higher than what their annual gift will be, and that's very helpful for us as well. In previous work that I've done, we have talked about sustaining memberships or monthly donors, and we were scared away from it a little bit in some ways with other organizations. And looking back, I wish we would have jumped on that wagon. I think it would have been great for those organizations. Luckily, Heidi had already started that when I was brought on board. So I've just been working with a system she's already had in place and can see how beneficial it is. So that's great.
So if more people want to learn about Youth Art Team or even contact you to get some ideas of fundraising, how is the best way of doing that?
Yep. You can reach me at heather@youthartteam.com. You can call us at 319-343-8029. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram, or our website is youthartteam.com.
And everyone, be sure to check them out, because the projects they do are amazing. And the thing I love about the work that they do is that it's not just about how do you keep kids busy. It's all about how can you teach a skill that helps them out, not only with learning about like arts, but also the soft skills that go along with it, of making sure that you're determined, that you keep your perseverance and things like that, and teamwork. So, anyways, well, thank you for everything that you do. And thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck.
And to everyone else, thanks for watching. Chuck Rowe, Midwest Studies Group. Catch you next time.